Welcome to the channel. In today's ditty, we're going to start off by you hitting that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. But if you are a subscriber, then you're awesome. Alright, moving on. As you see, I have recently rebuilt my Plankerton Endurance. Uh, I was going for a bunny theme during the bunny Easter season, but I did not have the build finished in time for any epic contests that I chickened out of doing. But if you would like to see something like that, uh, go ahead and subscribe, and you may see a future contest video about this build here later on. That being said, let's just dive right into it. Basically, this build was themed for creatures, and the theme I was going for was bunnies. That's why my giant skull has a bunny ear on it. I know it could have been a little bigger. I wasn't quite happy with it, but I ran out of structures. And so starting off this endurance, we're just going to start off with the home base build. And I basically put just the basic defense walls for any assassin husks that try to slip by. It's not 100% necessary that you need walls around your base, but I did so that, and I left it open on top so I could jump into it. And the block off you're going to need for home base is quite simple. Even with that wall up there, you just basically need a complete metal wall from one end to the other with a opening in the middle to detour them. And the block off I'm using is the standard wall with the cone and another wall behind that wall. And as you see, this basically goes all the way across to the other end over there. And if you don't have a giant skull like slinger wall already, which I know everyone has a giant skull slinger wall, who doesn't have one of them things? But moving on from there, you may want to just put a temporary wall just straight up in the air there, or just a standard little diagonal, uh, not a giant skull necessarily. But I do have a tutorial, which will be in the description down below if you are interested in that weird skull I just showed off. Moving on. Alright, this basically build on home base is going to be basically most of this base is based on the 2x2 trap tunnel, which is a simple two gas traps design with two wall slingers, and I'll cover more of that later on in the video. But as you see, from the spawn here, this is where they spawn at. The fence pad there is for my extra daily quests. There's a propane. If you have a propane issue, you may want to add sound walls, and you'll have awesome, cool music going on during your first wave. And this is the first wave amp. It gets hit here first most every time, unless they break something. But moving on from there, like you said, the boxes we're going to be using and I'm going to be highlighting is this box right here with just the standard two gas traps. And also, if you have a problem with this, you don't have quite enough damage on your traps, you can extend that ceiling there. And the pathing you see is quite simple. Block off with the two tunnels here and there connected to our giant detour tunnel wall, whatever. But the traps we're going to be using is two ceiling electrics. I'm using 144s, which max out at Plankerton. And then I'm using two alternating wall launchers for the most part. You can use two impact. Basically, the minimum you need there is the two impact. But if you use two impact and then a four impact, you'll have a perfect harmony of detouring husky husks through that tunnel with the wooden floor spikes, the two wall darts. And when they exit the tunnel, the only thing exiting the tunnel for the most part is a husky husk and or smasher. So you'll have to just deal with that. Most of the time, I'm not even away from keyboarding this. It's the first wave, and on Plankerton, it's wave 5 for the UFO that you kind of have to be there anyway. So Plankerton ain't like a away from keyboardness kind of base, but this base is built to away from keyboard it, and I away from keyboarded it for weeks and weeks and weeks testing this till to the point that I'm sick of testing it, and I am now satisfied with the way it's built, and I'm showing it off now. And that being said, this right here is the second amp that gets hit on wave 2 of your endurance on Plankerton. And as you see, I just basically covered the amp with the basic frame just to detour any enemies that slip by and or mess up. There's certain variables that mess up your base, and you can't always expect it to be 100% working every single time, exactly the same every single time. Little tiny variants mess it up. And that being said, this is the spawn. They spawn here, and we're basically pushing them right through our little trap tunnel. The assassin husk, because of my away from keyboard material grinder over there, which is in the shape of a turtle, uh, basically they come this way, and we just have to push them away. The assassin husks like to hit that corner over there. Some of the block off that it's important on this amp is this here. You need some walls there to keep them from trying to go up that mountain to the behind me. And that being said, this is still the basic trap trap tunnel that we're using in previous, and I've already been showing off, and I will show off. I think I have a 2x2 trap tunnel in like every amp. I just kind of added it to a couple of the amps that made it a little more useful. And that being said, some smashers do come through these things. It's not like a higher level smasher. Like say you're doing a war games or something. There's going to be a smasher coming through this. This is mainly built for away from keyboarding my endurance for like temporary battle pass XP. And that being said, the wall art I'm using is a high crit, and when you're using your 144 high crit wall art combined with the tar pit will stop the smasher from charging the amplifier, and the wall arts usually take them out. If not, I'm usually you can be there with your xenon bow. And now we're gonna go quickly to the third amp, which is a really simple build. You basically just need to cover up your amplifier for safety reasons. It's not, like I said, 100% necessary, but I do it just in case. You don't want random assassin husk or random people you may have invited to your base accidentally bringing enemies up to your amplifiers just because you felt comfortable about not covering them. But I have basically like 1,000 extra structures which I wasted on extra builds. But that being said, this is the wave 3 amp. And the simple design here is still basically the smashers are going to hit down there. And that's the smasher kill part. The slingers like to throw on this, so you're going to have to just basically fill in this top part with a roof that doesn't 100% need traps on every single panel. And you're going to have a block off on this side of the mountain with, I added a goofy trap. It's not necessary. I added a wall launcher just in case something happens. I want them to go down there. So yeah, so that's what you have to do there, just a simple block off. And this is their spawn for the third wave. They spawn out here in the open, like all over this place. This is probably one of the widest spawns. They kind of randomize it, but oh yeah, some of the block off you also need is back here on this mountain. You're gonna need just block off these two little hills. That prevents them from wanting to climb up those a little bit better. And or if a propane does a little damage there, that's not fun. And that being said, this is just the basic kill field. I kind of put like a temporary because I'm such a high level and I got such a high tech. My wooden floor launchers alone can basically survive a lot, and that's the design I was going for there. And as you see, the enemies run this way. The 2x2 gas tunnel was there. You can add extra ceiling electrics across the there if you need a little more damage. Yeah, just like that. And I apologize if I'm going like quickly, and or this isn't a step by step. I have uh, built this and rebuilt this so much. Uh, if anyone has ever tried to build an endurance, would know it, the craziness. And before I leave this amp, the block off, you're gonna have to block off that just a little crazy, and that prevents the smashers and stuff from want to even try to go detour any direction other than the direction that you want them to go. And yeah, and that's this amp. Mumble mouth stumble. We're gonna move on to the fourth amp that gets hit on wave 4 of your Plankerton Endurance, and I I really haven't changed the fourth one too much. I kind of just added some goofy because it was close enough to the UFO amp. I decided to build like a small UFO. That kind of looks like a UFO, doesn't it? If it doesn't, it looks like it to me. Yeah, moving on. But as you see, I filled up that UFO structure with anti-airs, and I kind of let the slingers come through there, just because I wanted to see if because this is Plankerton, the my anti-airs can kill them. If this was Twine, the anti-airs wouldn't kill all of the enemies that they throw. But because I have that thing completely full of anti-airs, it works perfectly to deter it, and it adds a little fun, like the UFO zap and stuff. And moving on, the traps that we're gonna be using for this mini UFO amp is, is basically they spawn here in like a cluster, a small cluster compared to the other amp we just covered, and they're gonna run this way. There's a small block off you put here that'll keep them from wanting to go around, and yeah, you don't want them to go around. There's also one little small spawn on the very top of this mountain, so you'll have to add a wall, like just a little corner wall there, and that makes them walk where you want them. We're basically pathing them to that area down here, and I blocked off this tunnel behind this 2x1 zillion, and this is still the same tunnel. Two 2x2 impacts, two gas traps, two wall launchers, blah 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 blah. And you see how quickly I think I've built this so many times. I don't even know how quickly I could actually throw a 2x2 together. It's probably like I have another 2x2 here, and as you see, it's still just the simple design that we're using for most amplifiers, and this is just a basic kill, the perfect kind of kill damage for the traps. And yeah, 2x2s and floors right there. And then if and when smashers do get through here, I got a smasher nuke right there at the end there, and that usually kills the smashers and stuff that make it through with the wall dynamos. You could use any wall dynamos that you like, and add more damage if you do have a lack of damage traps. I'm using 144s, and I've maxed out my squads for maximum 1% trap damage, and or it's controversial if that 1% actually helps, but moving on. The next amplifier we're going to be covering is one of my favorites. It's the UFO amp, and I spent probably about 3 weeks alone messing about on this freaking amp, rebuilding it and building it in the creature rabbit theme. That yeah, but it's still the basic. We still have the basic designs. These aren't 100% necessary, and I know there's there's designs out there. You don't have to build the Sphinx or the rabbits above it, but it would be kind of unique. This is just my unique kind of rabbit design. And that being said, the basic traps I'm using on this one is just floor launchers and floor, uh, yeah, floor launchers and wall launchers with alternating timings to the point where nothing really, besides smashers, uh, come through the main part of this amplifier. And this is just using like the minimum amount of traps. And the smashers may smash through here on a later wave, but you usually, yeah, most of the time I'm not even 100% here on those later waves anyway. But this does make it a full 30 waves. And that being said, like I said, I'm kind of just pushing them with these floor launchers. The timing you're going to need on the one side is 4.3 seconds on your wall launcher with the 2 impact. And then on the alternate side, you're going to need a 5-point impact with a 4 impact reloads. And the floor launcher is going to be a regular impact with an 8-second time on it. And all those times together equal a whole bunch of times that the enemies will not pass this area without one of them going off at the same time during the same time. So there's three things going off for any enemy that enters this field of timing. And this little section here alone just almost stops the enemies on the first couple waves here. But I did add, of course, husky husks always make it through, and they're pesky. So you add a secondary with the same kind of theme. And I was gonna add the gas trap and the standard 2x2 here, but I found it wasn't even necessary, and it makes it so I didn't even add the 2x2 there. But where I placed that gas trap down there is where you will want a 2x2 death trap-ificator. And that being said, this was built for fun. I will highlight the fun part of this amp, I guess, briefly. And like mainly the husky husk and stuff will walk through here, but the smashers will just smash through there. And I was trying to make them spit out of the mouth of the beast up here, and I did successfully make it where it was doing so. It's just you don't have a lot of time to kill any husky husk that peskily make it down through here without messing up the legs of the Sphinx. I could add more traps to the Sphinx, but as you see, the cone up there pushes. It's better to use the cone, but for fun, you can uncone it. Add a diagonal tunnel about 4 tiles diagonally to that point there. Let's see, was that 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles in the air is how far I'm pushing them, and they climb up into the mouth. And the mouth of the beast here has just a little teeth on it, and it usually killed most of the little things. When they fall out there, they always fall into this little death trap. For the most part, it worked. It worked as is for the first couple waves of the UFO. For the UFO highlight wave, it works fun. And now we're going to briefly cover the west side. Like I said, this was kind of like a goofy build I did. So this could use a little work, but I was testing out a stall method with floor things. If any of them went that way, they ended up getting pushed back here and halfway ended up dying. This west side could use some improvement. So I'm saying you don't have to necessarily copy it, but if you do, you'll have to add some block off to this amplifier anyway, and this is the block off you'll need. You'll have to block off this hill over here, and you'll have to put a this was from the previous amplifier that you get. Just ignore that. And then the block off that you needed here was basically like a cover, just 2 tiles to 1 tile, basically 2 tiles off the edge here. You're gonna have to add a little block off tile. That keeps the slingers from wanting to come over here and throw to any of those amps. And yeah, and like I said, this UFO amp was one of the fun amps that I kind of did, and this was one of the builds I built first before I started messing about on any of the other amps. And I added ceiling gas traps here because there's not enough damage on this one, so it, like I said, room for improvement. I need to fix the structure issue. I have no idea why I'm a little maxed on structures right now. It could be because I decided to build a giant Ninja Turtle material grinder up here with the ability to crush enemies in a single bound. Moving on. The last amp that we need to cover is the one that always gets hit on wave 30 and always gets hit with mini bosses near the last waves, is this one here, the east amplifier. That basically they spawn here. They'll want to run up this side over there if you don't have it blocked off, and it's really a simple design. It's kind of like a stall design with just the standard traps. I trapped this out to keep anything whatsoever from wanting to come through there. I got healing on the roof in case of explosions, and then I got just to block it off on the west side there, and then you can add traps to the outside of it like that. So yeah, it's pretty basic block off. I also added healing to the walls with I really just did not want them coming through there whatsoever, so I have healing on every single wall. Okay, and that will make them where they want to come through here, and you have about a 5 or 6 tile, 5 tiles range to kill them in a 2x2 tunnel that is completely convertible to place a standard 2x2 and or whatever traps that you like, but I was using just the basics. This one I didn't change it. I didn't add anything. This was from previous old build that I had, and pretty much I just shortened this. I didn't spawn kill them anymore because I didn't feel spawn killing them was 100% necessary. And as you see, the block offs like that. The smashers and mini bosses usually come through here and get nuked down the best as best they can. There aren't, if you're not away from keyboard, they usually smash through the amps if the mini boss doesn't die. Now I think I have just enough damage. It usually kills the mini bosses, but usually around the 30, the last wave, I have so much anxiety about finishing it. I don't away from keyboard. I'm usually watching the amp like a hawk, like a hawkeye, with my bow just ready to shoot. And that being said, for the other side of this amp is I pretty much added this side was I put the 2x2s on because this side get hit most on like a random waves and or whichever random waves get hit. Like here's the trap tunnels. All that traps you see over there aren't 100% necessary, but I put them there for fun. And the 2x2s are down there, and as you see, the gas right here is where you want to place the 2x2 with the block off on the right side here, 2 over. You could put the 2x2 anywhere you want, but the basic thing is we're killing them with enough damage, and then and block off this hill just to the left of this amp. And I believe that covers every amplifier for my Plankerton Endurance and amplifier builds. But yeah, and this gets hit with smashers is also why you want to put wall dynamos and or maybe add more damage to ceiling here if you have a damage issue. I had just enough damage to not overbuild too much, as I do overbuild every single thing. So this I was trying the little thing different. And if y'all did enjoy this at the slightest and or made it this far in the video, you must have enjoyed it a little bit. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. And if you're already a subscriber, then like I said, you are awesome. And also, don't forget to have a yeah, I just messed that up, but I really hope you have a wonderful day. See ya.